All right, Chad, you there? Can you hear me? All right, cool. Test it out.
I'm here.
All right, where are we at?
We are in front of Energizer Park, currently in downtown St. Louis.
Energizer. Why are we here?
We are here because we are at the new opening of the Brickline Greenway.
Brickline Greenway,
Yep.
right? We figured we'd mix up the podcast, kind of go for a walk, get outside, talk about Greenway in general, and the new Brickline Greenway opening that took place in the past almost 60 days actually. But yeah, guys, this is Intellectually, the show where we teach you how to hold us, the professionals in real estate, more accountable. Let's get it going. All right, cool. Let's get started. So this is the entrance, right?
Yep, we are currently right on Market Street.
Speak up just in case of the sound suppression.
Yeah, yes, this new Brickline Greenway just opened up. It's a mile-long stretch from Memorial Plaza all the way up to Compton and Harris Stowe University, which is essentially connecting Energizer Park and the Harris Stowe University. Like I said, this is the first, I believe, adoption of the Brickline itself that is opened. It's fully functional.
So Brickline's just one of, like, I think there's about
one of
nine.
one of many greenways.
And Greenway started around 2001 in St. Louis, correct?
From Green River.
So what's this?
Yep, Green Rivers Greenway, the organization.
Okay.
So right now we are right here on a Market Street, and then once it's all said and done and complete, this is essentially what the whole Brickline is going to be. It's going to be connecting Forest Park all the way down the Gateway Arch.
Okay, cool. So we're going to walk it a bit. You got that recording?
Yes, I do.
Nice, I like it.
I do. We should go down to the Compton. We should go down this way.
Okay.
To Harris Stowe. Because this is essentially the pathway that we're on.
So we got a conversation going about the Greenway in general. Oh, we got to stop here. Don't want to jaywalk on camera, right? But yeah, one of your biggest interests in the Greenway that you were investigating was the controversy on how it will positively affect property value, but that might actually affect it too quickly, which could make home buying a little bit more tedious for the people that were anticipating more affordable housing. Correct?
Yeah, I guess. Well, you can't jaywalk yet.
You can't jaywalk it. Yeah. You can never jaywalk. But so elaborate on that.
Well, I guess
mentality you were speaking
we'll start with the purpose and the funding behind it. This is a $245 million project, funded through multiple different avenues.
Yeah.
Whether it's just local tax, federal grants, and private funding.
Yep.
As of right now, mid-2026, they're a little bit over 65% funded, I believe, on the whole project.
Love it.
The intention is, of course, to not specifically just increase property values in a specific area, but rather create a whole system for the city. And the system is intended to attract private investors and development within these areas too as well, which have positive impacts, of course, on the city as a whole.
Yep. So, I mean, obviously the positive impacts is it adds an eco-friendly environment, like for bikers, walkers, not as many cars, not as much traffic, gets people out and about. That impression can amplify, I would argue, pride in an area, which keeps things cleaner, keeps people more motivated to upkeep their yards, and thus, because you have more of that kind of environment, you get, in my eyes, higher property values, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So in that regard, you were comparing this to one other area that did the Greenway kind of mentality. What was that?
Yeah, well, this isn't the first type of project. In St. Louis, we've been working on, like you said, the Greenways for the past
2001.
20 years, but there's some similar case studies as far as Atlanta and their Beltline and the Chicago 606, where they developed somewhat a Brickline path that connected parts and neighborhoods to their city to the downtown area. Don't call me in the downtown area. As far as for Atlanta. But that was, and especially specifically in Atlanta, the Beltline was a much more significant project.
Yep.
This Brickline is only estimated to cost about $245 million, where that was upwards of $10 billion.
Yep.
In Atlanta. While
Atlanta's got more people, probably a thicker path, right?
Mm-hmm. Essentially what it did, they created this again system of pathways and greenways that interconnect within their city, and around that path, of course, you've seen major developments.
Yeah.
So going back to it, the intention for the Atlanta Beltline was to obviously interconnect and create a system within Atlanta to, and also include greenways and other paths that interconnect within the city. But the goal is to promote development within those areas and the paths, or
fair enough.
The areas around these paths. Well,
hoping everybody's kind of getting a view of
two
what
sides
this
of the
greenway
argument.
looks like.
You know, with that nearly $10 to $12 billion investment, they estimated that they had an economic growth of nearly close to maybe 30 billion.
Yeah.
Because of it in the past 20 years.
Yeah.
Once it was being, but again, the counter argument to that is the displacement that happened.
Okay.
You know, these greenways in these areas that were redeveloped were, a lot of them were in low-income neighborhoods, and when these pathways came in, development started being created. Private investors started coming in and making these investments.
Yeah.
Ended up pushing the community that was there before out. So when we're comparing to something like Brickline Greenway here in St. Louis, that's one major thing that, from my understanding, that they're really trying to be proactive about and really planning ahead. Whereas Atlanta, they thought about affordable housing after all of these developments, and it was too late.
So true.
St. Louis is trying to do is be proactive with that. Obviously, this is
one of the many measures. they're being proactive about.
Project to, again, create a system to attract private investors, attract companies and businesses to want to come to this city, but also at the same time not displace those already in the community. And how can we actively work together where everyone that's here and around can benefit from this, rather than just, again, displacing and having higher income and just higher income demographic coming into these areas. As we're going to see property values increase, we're going to see taxes increase, we're going to see many different increases in values around here. And as a homeowner, if you're a homeowner in this area, that's fantastic for you. If you're a renter currently in these areas, that's where the challenges are posed.
Oh yeah. I feel ya.
So there's a lot going on there. Like I said, when we talk about the attempts that St. Louis itself is making to prevent this gentrification and displacement, really starts with getting the local communities involved. The Brickline North Community Development Corporation was another nonprofit that is partnering with Greenway River to get active community engagement and really getting the community involved in this project rather than when it's too late.
I feel it. And then there was another analysis that we kind of were making too, when it came to like some of the effects that we have with population decrease and how it's affecting some of the schools and the decisions they're making on that, right?
Right. You know, these two separate issues that coincide with one another.
Yeah.
Right? Specifically in the north side, they've seen a huge decrease of enrollment in their school systems the past 20 years. Actually, the past 30 years. Since 1991, there were around 45,000 students enrolled, and estimated this year, coming into the 2026 school season, they're estimating down to just over 16,000 students enrolled.
That's crazy.
So in the past 30 years, they have all these schools.
Kind of nerve-wracking, right?
There's 65 schools within the St. Louis public school system. They've just proposed a plan, 3 different options that could potentially close 15 up to 22 of those schools.
Yeah.
And again, it's correlating with the population and decrease. There's 65 schools, and the enrollment for these schools is fractions of what the expectation was around this time.
Fair enough.
So now you have these schools that have less enrollment, less students in there, but they still have to maintain these properties. They still have to upkeep these properties. They still have to staff these schools, right? And if we have all of these schools spread out, right, when resources are already very thin, you know, what does that do? You know, on the flip side, now you're telling the residents in the local community and their neighborhoods that they have to travel further to get to school. So they can't go down the street to their schools. The transportation is going to become more difficult, but that is actually one of those things where,
well, there's also a harsh reality that takes place, right? So when you're having a population trouble like St. Louis has been having for the past 10 years, right? Where we've
not
been
just 10 years.
Well, it was started really consistently in 2015, after the Rams left, actually, right? Because even between, we had a big annoyance in 2010, but then we actually had some weird time frames where we weren't really decreasing in population, and downtown city that is, because we know the county and extra metro areas are actually increasing somewhat in population. So we're having a relocation idea, but going back to the population and the schools in general, it's kind of a nerve-wracking idea because schools are the next generation, right? So if you're shutting down the education and the motivation to raise a next generation, that's gonna affect.
Well, what do you mean by shutting down education?
I'm not shutting down the education, but if they're closing schools in certain areas, right, you're lessening the motivation to raise that next generation in that area, which could even, when you're experiencing a population decrease, you're only contributing to it long term if you're not focusing on how to figure out what to do with the schools. I understand the need to cut costs and maybe recalibrate, but hopefully the shutting down of these schools isn't just to compartmentalize what they have left, but it's to recalibrate a mentality of how they can re-encourage population growth. You know what I mean?
The idea behind it truly is, right, we have all of these kids, students spread out in all of these schools that lack full enrollment, right?
Yeah.
Their capacity is, again, fractions of that. But they're still having to staff these schools. They're still having to maintain these schools, right? The idea is to consolidate them, right? They don't have to have as many staff members on the team. They can consolidate classes. And essentially the idea is to give these students a better education and a more...
Agreed.
You know, more intimate education, right? Transportation was one of the biggest costs. And there was somewhere around like a $41 million deficit that the school systems were having.
I guess my point is that I'm trying to make is these maneuvers are reactionary maneuvers due to enrollment decrease.
Well, yes, that is a big part of it. Now, if you're in tune with local St. Louis news and some of the district officials, recently some of the news on lawsuits and mismanagement of school funds. You know, we can get into that. I'm not going to specifically, but again, you know, it also poses the question is, has the St. Louis public school systems
were we due for a good rehab?
Exactly. Were they properly managing it from the beginning?
And I mean that happens in any case and scenario. I just, you know, it is convenient that it is taking place during a huge population decrease or enrollment decrease recognition, right? That being said, the enrollment decrease has been taking place over 5 years, and they're like, yeah, let's do something about it. My fear is, though, that they consolidate all this into now it's going to be consolidated to cater to this new enrollment level instead of objectively try to reanalyze, recalibrate to get back to a population growth, an enrollment growth, if that makes sense. Now, I agree with you. It's not that it isn't taking place, because you're right. If you're spread too thin on something that's designed for a higher enrollment, you're going to lower education quality, you're going to lower job availability, transportation is going to be chaotic, and just quality of life and education is going to be lower. So it is good that they are consolidating. You know, kinetic is always good when it comes to a need for response. But I've seen in the past with different like ideas where they're like, cool, we've consolidated everything, let's move on. You know, without the attempt to be like, this is why we're consolidating, to reestablish.
And to keep going with that point, again, it's going back to the pride and going to the school within your neighborhood. Now these students are forced to go further. They're not quote unquote local to their neighborhood and their school system anymore. So there's a little bit of a less pride behind it.
And it's crazy too, because think about how many sports teams, like different high school sports teams might be like, hey, remember this team, blah, blah, blah. They no longer exist. That's kind of crazy to think about when you feel, you know, when you feel somewhat pride, you know, sending your kids to a sports team that you played on, particularly football and basketball, you know what I mean? Those are big deals.
And this is all very interesting timing too, because as we get these announcements for these proposals of shutting down these schools, we are now again walking through this beautiful project that we're walking on right now, the Brickline project, that is going to be flowing through a lot of these neighborhoods in the north side. Which is fantastic, you know.
And I do want to point out something. As you can see, this side is literally designed for bikes, which is awesome, with a walking side behind us, which we're on. We were accidentally walking on the bike side just because it looked cool. But
now we're at Harris State.
Yep.
Harris Stowe State University.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
We should, objectively, we're going to have a little map to show you where we've been walking. Hopefully we're not moving too slow where it recognizes it. Is it up? Have you been looking at it? Cool.
It's, nope.
What?
It got messed up.
Well,
it's all right. I'll come back and
we'll edit it. We'll figure it out.
We'll create something.
But I do appreciate your analysis on like the necessity behind, we do have to do something about the consolidation of these schools because they are spread too thin. But yeah, you're right. The recognition on the pride for your area, having to travel twice as far to a school that you're not familiar with, you don't have much pride for because you didn't go there as a child, is going to possibly affect somewhere along that side of generational pride. It's going to possibly motivate people to move out of the area, which could decrease property values, right? And it could counter the effect of the Greenway, which, by the way, statistically, we were looking into it. Greenway, successful Greenway projects such as like the Gravois project or the Mississippi side or up north in the Olivet area of St. Louis, it's had a range of effect of positive property value 3 to 10%. There have been zero negative effect to the Greenway products that they've been able to consolidate. You know, the only negative effect might be we have to walk for a podcast.
one thing to have a lot of faith in too is how St. Louis itself and our leaders are looking at these projects, right? It appears that they're taking great lengths and efforts to be proactive in some of the original concerns and known concerns that are brought up with issues of projects of such, right? Again, including the Brickline North Community Development Corporation partnering with the Green River or Greenway. You know, they're really getting the community involved and trying to get to understand and help them give their opinion and again be involved in this process so they can grow with the city and not just be displaced.
Agreed.
Also on top of that as well, with these school closings, you know, last night they had a community meeting where families of the schools can go in and discuss their concerns and ask questions. And we're holding 2 more of those meetings in the next coming weeks as well to really get the community involved, which is where a project like Atlanta's Beltline failed to do. All of these ideas of affordable housing and gentrification and displacement were all thought of after it all happened.
Hindsight 2020. So it's good that St. Louis is recognizing those as opportunities and not just, you know, going with the flow, but they're being very proactive behind those mentalities to make sure that we can avoid the mistakes and, you know, of course we're going to make mistakes.
And even mistakes of our own past, right? Again, going back to closing the schools, right? these school officials need to be proactive, and they need to prioritize what the plan is for these buildings.
Absolutely.
After they are done, you know,
Yep.
because that's the difference between completely reutilizing a property of such and letting it sit vacant for 10, 20, 30 years.
So true.
You know, and then you let it sit vacant for that long, well, that cost just goes up because it's just sitting there deteriorating.
I mean, yeah, you might at that time you're at tear down level or utilized level is your different questionnaire. So we've come to the end of it.
This is Compton.
This is Compton. So it was the most recent announcement that they made, right? It was about a month ago. Greenway why can't I think of it? Brickline project. This is one of 2 brick lines, right? There's a south brick line, which is on the other side, kind of extending our way. And then this would be called kind of like the north brick line.
Yeah, Market Street.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're gonna put a link in the comments to kind of let you guys know how to view the brick line, but there's an interactive map, right? That you can kind of go in and see the different projects that are available, what are going down with the brick line. It does a good job to tell you what they're working on, what they're focusing on, and what they want to do inevitably. But yeah, I mean, guess we could start heading back.
We should, because we should get a glimpse at the Pillars of the Valley.
Okay.
Art. And I want to specifically, because this is my first time walking this.
Yeah.
This specific brick line, but this 1 mile stretch supposedly includes the Pillar of the Valley artwork.
Dude, I'm glad we did this in the morning.
Yeah, I know.
We were tempted to do this in the mid-afternoon. Heck no. No way.
But
So we're right at
the
Compton.
Pillars of the Valley is intended to be a memorial of such of the Mill Creek Valley neighborhood.
Okay. Fair enough.
That was predominantly a black neighborhood back in the 50s or much before the 60s.
Yeah.
And urban development displaced apparently nearly 20. Yep, here we go. And then we have the baseball team.
That's what I tried to get earlier.
Stars Park.
Stars Park.
Stars baseball team that won the championship. Yeah, so this is a little bit of a memorial for what used to be back in the 40s, 50s, before the 60s, before nearly, they said 20,000 black residents and almost 450 black-owned businesses were displaced for urban development.
Crazy.
Yeah. So again, a little bit more of a memorial for that, and really keep the history of our city. But I'm curious. So that's Pillars of the Valley, but there's supposed to be a stretch of art everywhere. That might just be it. But that was a beautiful, mural. What do you call it? Mural.
No, I agree. It is cool because you see a lot of work going on. Earlier I showed some construction that was taking place. There's a lot of cool just upkeep construction. I think was motivated by some of the wear and tear that St. Louis might have accidentally been neglecting. For example, we had that huge sinkhole that happened. It was like right on 44. That obviously was a huge surprise, and we're seeing a lot of like underground pipe work that's taking place. There's big on gravel.
There was a poor woman that fell in a manhole the other day. I was reading something about that.
Yep. So I mean, yeah, it's
irrelevant, but thought it was funny.
Yeah. Not for him. But yeah. No, I like it.
All right, well, we're back with where we started. We're gonna
all right, so we're going
do
the
last,
other way.
I don't know what, not quarter mile, maybe less, but wanted to point out there's that right by the Energizer Stadium. We have the Cybergs that recently announced is closing down. Rumors that the Pear Tree Inn hotel that it's connected to also coming down.
Yeah.
Again, the hotel is just a rumor. Cybergs is out. It'll be interesting to see what the plans are for this property. This
It's a
location
bummer.
will be.
Yeah.
Well,
So this is slew over. No, these are just the open fields, right?
Yes.
And then you got the
Union Station.
Union Station over here. They actually just put 2 more rides in, which is kind of cool.
You can find a fantastic aquarium.
My pride is St. Louis. Energizer.
Never been a soccer guy, but I will say Energizer Stadium in St. Louis SC has given me a little bit of that
Pride.
that oomph in soccer.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of our best since we lost the Rams.
I mean, like I said, I am a St. Louis resident, no doubt, but I have never been a Rams fan.
Yeah, no, I feel you there.
I'm sure those in St. Louis can appreciate that.
Okay, cool. So now we're walking the other way here. When it comes to this, we're heading down towards downtown. And then, so I'm gonna actually probably try.
So we're on Market Street right now.
Yeah.
Heading east towards downtown.
Cool. So when it comes to downtown, like I'm incredibly interested in downtown right now, investment-wise, right? And I think it's under focused, and that's a huge opportunity. There's a lot of particular investment the state and the city is making into recouping the downtown population, changing that stigma of crime and, you know, just the crime rate in the downtown, the safety and all that jazz. I mean, if you go downtown, you're gonna find out the nice way that it's really not bad at all. It's beautiful, and I wanna get rid of that stigma, and soon that's gonna stop. And the people, the businesses, the small businesses that are investing in downtown with new, productive, ambitious game plans, I think are gonna reap the repercussions of a successful downtown starting 2030, right? So, I mean, it's a dangerous investment, right? Investing in something like that, but
on the flip side, we already have foundational developments that we've just created. Energizer Park gives another reason for people to want to come to the city. It's a great environment. It's fun. It's another sports team. I mean, we cannot sit here and deny the fact that sports is a huge. St. Louis is a sports town, right? When you really think about it, you know, obviously beyond the Cardinals and the Blues, now it's SC soccer, but we have the Marathon Olympics coming to trial here in 2028.
Yep.
And essentially,
theory is they're going to be using the Greenway, right? They should be using the Greenway, hopefully. Then again, they might just block off roads.
It doesn't. They have. I mean, this is no doubt a plan also for that as well. The races starting at Washington University, going through Forest Park, all the way to Busch Stadium, through the Arch, and ending all the way here, right behind us at Energizer Stadium, which is actually something that's never been done before in Olympic trials, where the race is going to end in the park where 22,000 people, spectators, are going to be able to watch it all finish. And I think that's a really huge selling point on why it was decided to host here in St. Louis, because it's different, hasn't been done before, and the city, man, I mean, I'm excited about it. And the city
it's going to be awesome. We definitely need to be present when that takes place. What I just showed the camera, if you guys are watching and not listening, I just showed this Union Station, which is a really cool environment, just due to the fact that it's a hotel, it's a whole aquarium and area to hang out in, but more importantly, they have a really cool bar where they do, messing up on the camera here, where they do kind of a presentation. I think it's at 9 o'clock, where they do the history projected onto the ceiling of the building, and it's just got great history, beautiful architecture, right? Get some of this. But yeah, so I mean, one thing you'll notice is there's a lot of news going on regarding businesses shutting down in St. Louis. And I do feel for those businesses, it's tough having to make that sacrifice. And painfully, I wouldn't want to be in that situation, but it doesn't mean that we don't have new businesses coming in, you know, to the downtown St. Louis area. And I believe strategically, it could be opening up a lot of opportunity to, you know, invest in a future that you're trying to start in a city that's focusing heavily on their downtown. So, I don't know, statistically, it's gonna be worth your while. That's kind of what we wanted to talk about. We're gonna head back home now, get back to work, but thank you guys so much for tuning in on this show. We hope this little bit of difference kind of affects maybe your presentation positively. But if you guys prefer us to be sitting down, quiet, and patient with you, we can always continue that. And as always, send us any opinions, questions, or topics that you want us to speak to when it comes to, in general, you know, nationally, globally, real estate effects, and or if you want us to focus on, you know, the hometown that our business is functioning out of, St. Louis, Missouri, and Illinois. This is Intellectually. My name is Robert.
My name is Chad.
You guys have a wonderful day.